Okay, coming up on episode 179 on our Finding Better podcast, we have an amazing, amazing conversation with Ken Cox. Now, who's Ken Cox? He's just a normal guy, just like you and me, who grew up in bars. He became addicted to alcohol. He was adopted when he was 13. He was thrown out in the streets to his own devices. And he grew up with a lot of disadvantages. The theme of our talk is you can do and you can become anything. And this man has become an incredible person, learning to persevere, learning grit, building that muscle. And he lives an incredible life now. And you can too. So check it out. Share this. Unbelievably inspiring. Here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. My name is John Suzuki, and I am your host. We're going to have a lot of fun today. And this is where we share real life experiences of people who have been there and done that. Because sometimes the best path to finding better is to follow in the footsteps of people who have already done it and found better in their own lives. I have a wonderful guest. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of fun. Ken Cox is joining me. Ken, welcome to Finding Better.
How you doing, John?
I'm amazing. Here's the thing, folks. I just want to take you through his introduction. Ken is one of those rare guests who's as comfortable making you laugh as he is making you think. Okay, his stories are raw, weirdly relatable, experience based, right? And naturally funny. He doesn't try to be the comedian in the room. He just is the comedian in the room. And one of the wonderful things he also does is he laughs at himself. And that's a real key we're going to talk about in Finding Better. Ken is the president of River City Internet Group and the visionary behind InLink.com, which is a platform that's specifically built to provide every tool you need to be successful in business. So he loves to support entrepreneurs. But he's not just an entrepreneur with a microphone, he's a storyteller. Um, he's lived through enough chaos. I love this. Enough chaos to have a PhD in life's plot twists, from growing up in bars to navigating the chaos of adoption at 13 years old, from the darkness of alcoholism to 10 years sober and 13 years happily sober. He's learned the art of owning your story. Another hint of what we're going to talk about, and finding the laugh in the middle of it, especially, and this part I am going to embellish, especially when you want to cry about it. So, Ken, welcome to Finding Better.
Thank you for having me, John. I very much appreciate it. I think today's going to be a good time. I'm not sure how
Yeah,
much time we have. We might blow the clock out.
yeah, no, it's amazing. We're just going to go for however long we want to go.
Okay.
Okay, that's the beauty of podcasts. You can do that, and you've I want you to share your story. And I want to talk about some of the things in the intro. I want to talk about owning your story, learning to laugh in the middle of it, and the importance of learning to have a sense of humor about yourself. So I'll just go. Please start.
All right. That's a lot to unpack. Um, I'll talk about what I'm doing right now and learning to laugh at myself. And I'll
You
I'll,
bet.
I'll backtrack into my mid 20s and
Perfect.
fast forward up. And we want to talk about childhood adoption, all early alcoholism stuff we can.
Well, I mean that's important, right? Because a
Yeah.
lot of people think, well, he's successful, he's happy, he grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, and he was a privileged person, right?
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, I was born homeless, adopted, beaten, everything you can think of.
Ugh,
Just a lot of negative, but a ton of, a couple of positives. Technology has always been my positive string through everything that I've ever done. If we go back, I wanted to make movies when I was a kid, like
yeah.
in my teenage years, right? When I was young, I just thought I was going to blow up and die. Like, it was just trying to
Ugh.
destroy the planet. um when I started getting some kind of resemblance of enjoying my life, I wanted to make movies. and those kinds of things. So I started going to film school and all that stuff. I got into a really bad car accident when I was 20, right around the time that I was getting into video and film. And that prevented me from carrying a camera again. So, because back then a camera was, I'd have 100-pound battery pack around my waist at a basketball game and a 75-pound camera on my shoulder. And
I was going to say 200 pounds of equipment. Yeah.
Yeah. And then running across the basketball court after my car accident, I wasn't able to do that anymore. So I got into more directing and producing and stuff along those lines. And I went on a nationwide tour with some music bands and stuff like that. I got home from that tour and I took a part-time job in IT. Fell in love with IT, fell in love with web hosting in 1999.
Cool.
Absolutely. And I found a sweet spot of something that I knew how to do really well. I could create things. I was always creating new things. This is 1999 and the .com boom.
Yeah, right during the rise of the internet.
Every company in the country needed a website.
Yep.
I got to work on websites like MasterCard.com and Twinkies.com and WonderBread.com and PatriotColdEnergy.com, like all of these like big, massive companies, because I was in my early 20s and I knew how to do it. So not super relevant 2 or 3 years ago, but when I was 24 years old and 26, I guess. So a couple years after I got into that, I got together with a group of people, investors, and in 2001, we opened our first data center.
In 2001, and this is how long after you got into IT?
99 is when I got into IT.
So 2 years later.
2 years later, I am part of a group that is buying the hosting customers from the company that I'm the e-commerce analyst at. Right. So I'm an e-commerce analyst at a company called Empower Communications.
Okay.
A group of investors approached me and said, hey, we want to start a company, a web hosting company. At the time, we called it web hosting company. We didn't even call it data center. I would say, we got this building, we converted it into a computer room. Right? We called it computer rooms. And we want you to come on as, an investor and a partner and do that. So I'm the founder of a data center company called River City Internet Group.
Okay. So just real quick, how long did it take you to, once you found that you loved, you just entered the world of IT and you said, hey, I love this. How long did it take you to get really good at it?
I've had a symbiotic relationship with computers since the age of 7.
Okay. So it was just a natural thing for you.
Yeah. So as wild as my childhood was, I have a lot of neurodivergencies. And my family, union workers and criminals is the bikers kind of world, rough and tumble is the world that I grew up in. Didn't have a lot of money, but we always found a way to have cool stuff.
Okay, good.
When I was 7, I got pretty violent, and they found a way to get me a computer. Not even a computer, just a word processor. So I started turning in all of my work. Anything that I did was on a keyboard from the age of 7 on.
Wow.
And they didn't have, today they call them IEPs, individual education plans. They didn't have those.
Right.
But, my mother always fought for me to have the technology that would allow me to communicate with the rest of the world, because I couldn't, I can't my handwriting is illegible to any human on the planet, including me. So I've always been on a keyboard. It's always been a tool for me to communicate with the world. So, I grew up with DOS and Pine and Unix, and like I'm at the forefront of all of these things as they're being invented. I'm using them to communicate with the rest of the world in a way that is understandable to them. Right. And I've just been used, as it adapts, I use it more and more and more to communicate. And that's, to me, what websites were, right? A way to keep one to many.
Right. Perfect.
That's just how I've always looked at IT is, hey, we're together in this thing, and we're going to communicate to the world. And so it's taken me no time to adapt. I've always been an entrepreneur spirit. I've always been in film and video, which is where IT really starts taking a big bite, right? I worked for the Jumbotron at the Kiel Center, which is now Edward Jones Dome or something in St. Louis. And I worked for the Jumbotron, right? So that took a lot of a lot of computers. And I remember
Huge.
we got this would have been 95 or 96. We got a Media 100 machine. It was a Macintosh video editing computer. It was $80,000, I recall. That had two 9 gig hard drives and two 3 gig hard drives.
Which today would cost about 13 cents.
And it could render video in 1-to-1 time. So a 1 hour video, once I was done editing, I would click the render button and it would be done in 1 hour. And that was the deal. Because I remember the union was really upset about not getting us paid for rendering time, right? Because we would hit the button and we'd be off the clock. And that's kind of when I looked at film and video a little bit too, and said, "Man, I can't be editing's going to be too easy. I need to be thinking about something else as well, right?"
Yeah.
And that led me into music, which then eventually led me into IT. I was building websites for bands and stuff like before I did this, so picking up how to build computers. I don't know how I know what I innate knowledge maybe, or just
and you evolved
growing up with it.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. So we opened the data center. We run it for years. We get pretty big. Great time. Wonderful time. Lots of ups and downs, right? We're talking, we went through the .com bubble. We thought we were rich. Stock goes from $80 a share to $0 a share. All these things. Early on, we answered a request for proposal that came across our desk from AOL. And it got kicked around our desks a little bit, and nobody really wanted to answer it. So me and one of my partners, Steve, said, let's just answer it and see what happens. And we won the business.
Wow.
It was the worst $1 million mistake we've ever made in our life.
Winning the business?
Not understanding what we were doing.
Oh.
Contracts.
Yeah.
Right? We wrote the back office billing solution for AOL's Netscape.com project. If you remember the old school dial-ups, as DSL was coming on, Yahoo was really pushing DSL, and AOL needed to compete with them in some way because DSL was getting cheaper. So they created Netscape.com, which was a dial-up service. And if you called to cancel your AOL at $30 a month, they'd say, "Oh, we can downgrade you to Netscape for $9.99 a month," right? And that was the plan. They had millions of users fast. Our contract was we get 10 cents per user that we bill for you. And you can buy our software at any time for $1 million for your own use. They put that in the contract. And we're like, oh, we'll take $1 million.
Yeah.
We had the contract for about 6 months. We grew to about 180 employees from 5. And we got a check in the mail for $100 million. And said we're executing our rights to buy the use of your software and bringing it in-house. And we had to fire the 170 people. And go on our way because we never.
Ouch.
A lot of them went to work for AOL, but we learned a lot about writing contracts and how to deploy software. And how to do that. That software package today would be worth about $250.
Okay.
Well,
you walked away from $1 million, or walked away with
$1 million. We could have had a lot more, but we didn't know at the time. Moving forward, we get some that deal helped us tremendously, right? It gave us a big green checkbox that we were hosting this big player in the game and processing lots of transactions. So that got us in with clear.com and some other big players. And then kind of what changed our game on the really big side was we landed a deal with, we got to build the data centers for Peabody Energy. And we built that data center and it was really great. And then on the business side, we screwed up again. We're like, oh, we're the data center provider for coal companies. We have nothing to worry about for the rest of our lives. We're going to kick our feet up on our desk and cross our arms, and we're going to go have our cocktails and smoke our cigars and think that we figured life out for a long time. We had margin, we had growth, all this stuff was built in. And then 2016 comes along, 2017, all the whole industry changes. All 3 major coal companies on our planet file bankruptcy, and I built 2 of their data centers.
So all right. I'm starting to gather a theme here, right? Success. I mean, just amazing success to crash and burn. And
At the same
another,
time, my partner that I wrote that AOL contract with has lung or throat cancer and he's dying. And I had liver disease, alcohol related liver disease. And the doctor's telling me, don't stop drinking or you're dead in 2 years. All that happened all in that same time frame. The bank
wow.
said you need to file bankruptcy and walk away from this mess and get government protection. And I went to my shareholders. Now we're a data center operator, right? And I said, and my largest shareholder, Brian, is a phenomenal person and mentor. And he said, Ken, we're not filing bankruptcy. You'll never work again in your life if you abandon these customers. I've got a reputation to uphold. So we'll either fund the closing, make sure all the clients find good homes, and we'll fund the shutdown, or we can figure this out. At the time, I was about $4 million deficit, annual deficit. I said, well, let's figure it out. So
That's wonderful.
I
I
got
love
another
him.
PhD in negotiations and block and tackle. And my lawyer says I'm the best rope-a-dope guy on the planet now. But
But
we
you
turned
find a
it around
way.
and we're, positive EBITDA. And now we're a data center company in 2025, which is quite a grand place to be.
There you spoke earlier about a lot to unwind. I mean, you talk about a lot to unwind in in that journey that you just shared with us, right? I mean, you had wild success and it went away. And you had wild success and it went away. And so there's a theme and a lesson in there somewhere that says, and it could be don't take things for granted. It could be keep going, keep that fire in your belly alive. It could be careful what you ask for. It probably is a little bit of all those things, right?
Yeah.
But the punchline that I love is your main shareholder when he says, we are not going to abandon our customers. You know,
Huge.
it's one of the things that my listeners always hear me say is that, and you can relate to this and I've been in technology since 1984 with IBM. So I know the journey that you're talking about. And I've helped shepherd in probably 6 or 7 new generations of technology during those years. And through each one, we've gotten smarter and smarter and smarter. And the phrase that I've coined is we've gotten so smart, we've forgotten our heart. And when you just said that, I mean, that's heart. That's heart, right? Um, the smart says, you know, file for bankruptcy, I don't mean smart, but that is one analytical option. But you guys chose to stick it out, do the
Yeah, that was
blocking and
my
tackling.
choice. I could have funded the shutdown and looked for a job, right? Or
Hmm.
started something different with nothing, right? I'd have been back to zero at the end of the wind down.
Right.
I could have went and worked for the VC firm or something, but um, it's at some point, I drilled the first hole in the floor to lay the first rack in this building,
That's amazing. You
right?
did
Like
you did the
it
right thing and
something to
and
me that will never mean anything to anybody else on this planet. And now I get to be here in this, and I get to hopefully be a member of this ushering of this new technology and this new wave. Because I've been approached with some pretty absurd proposals in this last year. Uh,
hmm
that I've just said I'm not going to be a part of that project because that project is bad. It's bad for the
yeah.
economy. It's bad for the world. It's bad for people. It's bad for
Wow.
slavery, and it's bad. It's not. I don't believe that we should be building these mega data centers at this moment. I think we should
Yeah.
be doing something a little different at this moment.
So looking back, did you feel like you did the right thing
Absolutely,
and it paid off?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I had to do a lot of. I didn't learn to laugh then. I cried a lot. It was hard. I was going through liver disease. I had to quit drinking. I found smart recovery. Um, it was definitely a challenge, right? Every step of the way, I had to overcome my own hurdles, personal, while I was dealing with the company, and I think that's kind of what helped me get through because I had nothing to lose.
Wow.
I had, I mean, I had my wife and kids, but if I couldn't figure this out, then I was probably going to keep drinking anyway and die. Right. So I kind of looked at me and the company were in a life and death journey together. And,
So
then,
that perfect storm woke you up.
yeah. And I mean, I didn't run the game perfectly, right? I destroyed a ton of relationships over it. And, we're moving forward now, but, was it worth it? I think so.
What
Right.
would you have done
Because
differently? You say that you burned a bunch of relationships. Um,
I don't think I burned a lot of I changed a lot of relationships, right? I
okay.
have a very firm philosophy that I do everything I can to not light a match on a bridge. They're too
Right.
expensive to
Right.
rebuild, right? If I ever had to cross it again, it's too much. But my relationship with my family, my wife and my daughter and my son is wildly different today than it could have been if I would have had a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 and I had a normal human brain that said, "Oh, I'm content with getting home from work, eating dinner, and going to bed."
So
Uh,
tell us how it's wildly different from that, from what it would have been if you'd had a
oh,
normal
I don't live with
situation.
my wife and children any longer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm such a what I went through. I am such a different human than I was going into that battle. It's not. I mean, I'm just not recognizable as the same person, right? So I'm not the same person that she fell in love with for sure.
Oh, well, you seem like a pretty good guy to me.
Yeah, we have a great relationship. Like me and my wife have a wonderful relationship. It's just not romantic any longer, and
Okay.
right, and we don't live together anymore, and that's okay. But so that bridge isn't burnt. But if I was going to try to paint my picture when we got married, it would have been different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So, life goes in ups and downs,
Yeah.
and you were definitely in a down point where you were okay. I don't mean to be melodramatic, but you kind of were. You were dying. Your business was dying,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, um, what did you do? How did you pull yourself out of it?
Yeah. So the first thing that I did is I had to find something for me to keep my mind free and clear. I had to figure
Hmm.
out how to do that. It took me a while. I went around I hated going to the gym. I can't run. I hate it. Like I couldn't find anything that I enjoyed doing more than partying and
Mm.
building data centers shit. Like in the racks, pulling cables, doing cool stuff, searching up new IT, running new security systems, like all that stuff. I couldn't find anything that gave me joy like those two things did. Um, and then I found boxing at the age of 40 years old.
You found boxing.
I found boxing.
Excellent.
And, I went to a couple boxing gyms and it just didn't feel, nothing was right. But I found a local boxing gym and I went in and I loved it. I fell in love with how the structure was and all the stuff. And I could be alone and clear. And, I tell the story a lot that I remember the first day that I walked in, had so much anxiety because I had to put my phone in a locker for an hour. I had to turn my phone off and put it in a locker for an hour. And I remember, I mean, I called three of my direct reports. At the time, I probably had 75 employees, something.
Hmm.
Um, I called three of my direct reports. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be unavailable for an hour. It sounds so ridiculous now. Like you're not going to be able to. If you need to get a hold of me, you're not going to be able to for a whole hour. There's nothing I can do about it. My phone's going to be locked away and turned off. So if you need me, just leave a message and I'll be there in 1 hour. And it gave me so much anxiety that that happened. And then I didn't make it through the hour. I threw up in about 45 minutes.
Wait, what? The anxiety of putting your phone down, turning your phone,
No, just the exercise.
the exercise.
I didn't
Oh,
make it
got
through
it,
the
got it, got
exercise.
it. The
Didn't
box.
make it through the exercise. I got it about 40 minutes in, 45 minutes in, and was exhausted, threw up, went home. And I got home and I told my wife, I'm like, if I can do that for just 1 hour a day, then I can do anything. Like, there's nothing I can't do if I can do that for 1 hour a day.
Without throwing up.
Yeah. Well, I didn't matter if I threw up or not. I didn't care.
Okay.
So I just kept going back. Because at the time I was throwing up every day anyway. Like, throwing up every day was just something I did.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Right. Like, so it wasn't like a big deal to me then. It'd be horrible now. Like, I hate being sick now.
Yeah.
So I started going every day, and being something really cool about being in the hosting industry is that I've gotten to sit back and then literally interview every business vertical there is on the planet.
Sure.
Right? Like, hey, how do you get your customers? How do you onboard your customers? How do you offboard your customers? What's your customer journey? So I got to learn cradle to grave businesses. The team that I we started this company with is wildly entrepreneurial. So we always doing this startup stuff, always. And it's just so much fun that I could tell that this boxing gym was going to fail. Like, it wasn't being ran right. Bathrooms were dirty,
Mm-hmm.
but I loved
Mm-hmm.
it. So I asked the manager, I'm like, hey, what's going on here? And like, yeah, the owner's kind of not really involved anymore or something. I'm like, can I get his number? I called him. I'm like, hey, I need this. Like, and at the time, I'm like, if I don't have this, I'm gonna die.
Wow.
Like, if this gym shuts down, I'm gonna die. That's exactly how I felt.
Wow.
Worked out a deal with him. He bought the gym with his wife. His wife got sick. He couldn't quit his corporate job because his wife's wouldn't have insurance if he quit his corporate job. So he
Mm-hmm.
stayed there for her to get through the treatment or whatever. And we made a hell of a deal. Off to the races, bought the gym. Ebbs and flows for years. Me and my wife run it. We love it. We build a great community. COVID hits, shut down. We
Ouch.
reopen in a new location. And I'm still struggling at this time, right? I'm still struggling through COVID, a couple relapses, but I relapse and catch myself and get back. Reopen the gym. I got hurt a little bit during the opening. I drilled a hole in my hand with the drill bit and started drinking again through that whole thing. Opened the gym and we started an adult sparring program. Like, this gym now going to be for guys like I was in the beginning. Like, that's what this gym's going to be. And that was the wrong business model. Because guys in their 40s there's not a whole lot of them dumb enough to get punched in the face, even if they're drunks. So I'm sitting there and the business isn't doing good. And we're contemplating shutting it down. And these kids keep coming up to the door, like straight out of any movie you've ever seen in your whole life.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, teach me how to box. I'm like, get out of here, kid. I don't know anything about teaching kids how to box. Right. I don't know anything about that. It's not anything I've ever done. And then one day they knocked on the door. I'm like, screw it, just show up Saturday and we'll figure something out. I told the wife, I'm like, get another coach in here and we'll figure something out. Right. There'd be a couple kids here. Well, 30 kids showed up. And then so now we have to figure something out. And we figure something out. And we get it weaned out to the kids that can actually do something. And okay, now we got to create a program and all this stuff. And then, some of these kids want to compete. And how do we get them to compete and changing their mindset into competition and all these things? So I started getting into teaching these kids. And I've always been a writer for myself, like just kind of writing. My therapy has always been at the end of every night, I brain dump and just write what I did that day. It helps me in some weird way. I don't know why, but I've been doing it since I was 7 years old when the therapist said, this is how you're going to end your days.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
I've been doing that since. So um, I started writing about and started studying. I went to neuroflow school. I got my coaching certificates. I did all these things. And then the last day that I drank, I had just gotten out of jail in Georgia. And I bought 2 beers and I started to drink one of them and I poured it out instantly. And it clicked in my head for the first time that every program that I'd been going through, everything that I'd ever been through had misled me in a way that I didn't quite understand until I started teaching those kids. And when I had to teach a kid how to go from being in 8th grade science class to holding his hands up in a boxing ring after winning a competition, or walking out of the ring after they just got their butt kicked in front of their entire family. And I had to teach them that mindset and how to do that, that I realized that identifying as an alcoholic is what was keeping me in struggle the entire time. Because I wasn't identifying as a sober person. I never identified as being sober. It never was a part of who I was. I could never even imagine a life of being sober. I could only imagine a life of being an addict because that's what I got up and said every day.
Isn't that amazing? It sounds so simple. It sounds so simple. And yet that was, in terms of how you identify yourself. And
everything.
Right?
It is everything. And it took me 40 something years to figure that out.
And how did you feel when you realized that and you realized that it took you 40 years to figure that out?
That I don't think anybody ever successfully got that through to me as a human.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that other people on the planet are struggling with how do I get to where I'm going? And I can look at them and go, oh, you're not identifying as the person of where you're going. So you'll never get there. Right. And I see this everywhere. And I'm like, well, how can I do my part in sharing this stupid piece of nugget information that humanity absolutely needs, that in my entire life, and I've been in AA since the age of 13, they never tell me that. It's the exact opposite.
What do you mean the exact opposite? What's the exact opposite?
They say every meeting I stand up and say, hi, my name's Ken. I'm an alcoholic.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, you're right.
That is the most subconscious programming that once I stepped out of the picture and I looked at it and I'm like, this is one of the most horrendous things. Now, mind you, AA is a wonderful program for a person to go from, I don't know that I'm an addict, to accepting the fact that I'm an addict. But I believe that most humans on the planet that have an alcohol issue not only know they're an alcoholic, they celebrate it. I did. I'm a man. I can drink more beers than you. I can slam that bottle of whiskey faster than you. It's celebrated. So if you identify as an alcoholic, this is why our world has a 96% failure rate on addiction recovery.
So, okay. You're celebrating it. You know you're an alcoholic, but then you get to the point to where you admit you've got a problem, you want to change it. And I think I'm hearing you saying that, and I have friends who are alcoholics, are wonderful, wonderful people. They go to AA meetings every single day. The passion in life is to stay sober, right? But what I think I just heard you was that part of AA is a reinforcement of you being the person you don't want to be.
That is my belief, yes. And I think any neuroscience that would look at that would agree with me. So AA, I think, is a great program to break the cycle of addiction the very first time. I think Smart Recovery is a great program to break it, or maybe after your first relapse. But neither program give you the tools needed to get through post-acute withdrawal syndrome, which is where the majority of relapses happen. That 3 to 8 months after you've not been drinking for a while, where
Hmm.
the mundaneness kicks in and the brain isn't fully healed, right?
Right.
Your dopamine receptors aren't completely shut down yet. You still are craving those things. And, even after being happily sober for many years, I still have cravings. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's still thoughts that pass through your mind. They're not habitually pulling into the parking lot of a gas station and buying beers without even acknowledging the fact that you've done that, but they're still there. They're just less. So knowing that is, I think, is huge. And that's when I had been writing a book for years, and the
Hmm.
editor kept kicking it back to me. And all in the same time frame, I went to jail in Georgia for, I didn't know the laws, and I had my medical cannabis with me. I got pulled over, and it was a big ordeal.
Yeah.
It wasn't alcohol related. I live in a medical cannabis state. I use cannabis for my medicine, and I got pulled
Hmm.
over in a state where it's not legal. But I tried to use that as an excuse to drink that day. Right.
Ah, yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, if I use this as an excuse to drink, then this is my life
Yeah.
for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So here's what, for our audience, for the folks who are listening right now, what you said was, um, you were identifying yourself as an alcoholic, and that's what was
Alcoholics
holding you
relapse.
back. Huh?
And alcoholics relapse.
An
Statistically
alcohol.
proven.
Yeah. And I want to key in on that term identified as, because everybody identifies themselves as something, right? And the world that we live in right now is, I mean, we're just constantly bombarded with what I call messages of inadequacy. The advertising, you need to buy our product to be happy. Social media, your life sucks if you're not like me. I mean, there's just so much bullshit that's coming at us, right?
Yeah.
And you start to believe some of this stuff. And of course, we also have our identity that we've created for ourselves based on our own life experiences. And we got shit rattling around in our head, excuse my French, that we don't even know is in there. Things like you're being told you're not good enough, or you'll never amount to anything, or, that's a stupid idea, right? Or you're too little, you're a weakling, all those things. And so either subconsciously or consciously, we have these things. And of course, a lot of us set our identity based on what other people think of us,
Which is horrible.
right? But inevitably that happens. And so, I mean, that revelation that you had of taking that one, and I said it, that one simple, seemingly simple shift of identifying yourself as something different changed your life.
And it makes you a superhero.
Okay, I want to get back to that in just a second. Okay, because what I think what I'm thinking about landing on is, for folks out there who are listening, is to think about what your identity is. Think about how you identify. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this tonight. I'm going to sit down with a piece of paper and I'm going to say, how do you identify yourself? What is your own self identity? And I know it's going to be hard,
If you
right?
go deep, it is very hard. You
But then,
should cry. If you're going to do that exercise and you're not crying by the end, you've done it wrong.
wonderful. Because I was going to say that I have a feeling I'm going to cry,
You should.
because I have a feeling I'm going to come up with stuff and I'm going to say, "Oh my God,
Yes.
how did that happen?" Right? And then once I've done that exercise, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. And replacing those things with something That's more right. And
Yes.
and it could be it could be things, and this is a question. It could be things that I am today, or it could also be things that are aspirational, right? That I want to work. No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think
Just
it's
focus on.
quite the opposite.
Okay.
So, and I can jump right to my journey today.
So,
And I'm going through a wild journey for humanity, right? I'm doing this to share my story with everybody. I don't know where I heard this from, and I think it's Matthew McConaughey.
okay.
If you don't follow Matthew McConaughey, if you know him from Dazed and Confused, he's a brilliant philosopher and writer. Green Lights is a phenomenal book. Um, I think it was him that gave me this tad bit of information that you do not have the ability to predict your next thought, but you sure as hell have the ability to choose your next thought.
Ooh.
So I can choose what I identify as, and if I choose how to identify as that, I become that. All I have to do is start embodying the characteristics of what I want to become, and I am that. So this year, to 2025, I'm a 50-year-old man, and June 1st, I went to the Funny Bone Comedy Club and I signed up for my very first stand-up comedy show. And I went on stage and I wrote about it. And I do this 2 to 5 nights a week. And I write about my experience every single night that I go. And that's at coxout.com. And that's my journey on being authentic and being real and just making the statement that I'm going to identify as a comic. I've already identified as a boxer and I've won a Golden Gloves. I'm going to identify as a comic on day one. And I didn't do a great job. It took me about 3 months before I said I'm a comic.
That is tough.
But I lied to myself every single day and I did it. And, I hosted my very first comedy show last week for 20 different comics.
Wow.
I think that would make me a comic. Hosting my first show. So, and that was just a practice in I've never done this. What are my skill sets? I can do public speaking. I can get on a stage. I know how to do those things. What's something I've never done before that I can write about in real time and get a book and prove all of my concepts. If I can prove all the concepts that the training program that I take a kid, a 13-year-old girl, and by the time she's 15, she wins Boxer of the Year for 2024. If I can take those same skill sets and apply them to any other vertical, I think I figured it out. And I think it's self-identity.
No kidding. That is powerful. That is powerful. Now, you said that making that shift makes you a superhero. What does that mean?
If I can embody any identity and I can choose what my next set of thoughts are, then I am 100% in control of my life. I can drive it anywhere I want to go. And in a time with AI and robotics, art and thought process and decision-making capability is not going to, it's more important now than ever. Whereas for the past 100 years, it's been repetition has been the commodity on our planet. Decision-making is the commodity on our planet tomorrow. And I think most of our planet is walking through the day kind of doing the thing that they were told to do when they were 7 because they took a test. And they're living a slightly miserable life now because they identify as a plumber, an electrician, an HVAC tech. When they don't have that to identify as,
Then
what are
what?
they going to do?
Yes.
So I think I need to share that story and give pathways for other people in the future to buckle onto because, this is partially my fault. over here. I'm a data center operator. I've been pushing IT my whole life, and I've automated way more jobs than I care to admit.
Yeah.
Uh, but so this is what I'm working on today.
But, and I'll tell you something. And you and I want to do another episode with you, just talking about that, talking about AI, the rise of AI, because it is moving so fast. People don't even know what's happening under their feet. And the question is, I have my personal belief is that AI is going to replace pretty much every job there is. And if especially when robots, but within our lifetime, there's the opportunity that robots are going to take over productivity, and then we're going to, and presuming we survive it, it could be potentially just a wonderful world. Now the question is, here we are today. Here's what's going to end up happening, and they went through this in the Industrial Revolution. The question is, what's the messy middle? I'm not comparing it to the Industrial Revolution. I'm just saying that a scale of change is something relatable. I think that AI is going to change things faster than anything has ever changed in human history. So, as you said, huh?
It already has.
It already has. It already has.
You're talking about a technology that was released 2 days ago, was on a White House press conference the next day.
Right.
Because of deep fakes and people throwing stuff out the White House windows.
Yeah, exactly. But and you think about, I think about college kids who 4 years ago went to college majoring in computer sciences, and they graduate just 4 years later, right?
Dead.
Right. There's nothing.
I went to MIT's AI for Business program. I don't have anything nice to say. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
They're not teaching you anything. I didn't learn anything through the whole program.
Interesting. Yeah. So I mean, and you have things, the company, I just came out of retirement about a month ago to go to work for an AI software company in travel. And one of the things that the CTO told me, he says, John, and because I asked him, I said, how are you developing this stuff so freaking fast? And he says, you know what, John? He says, my whole development team is 6 people. 5 years ago, I had a development team of 40, and they couldn't keep up with this group of 6. And so, when we get to the point to where plumbers today can't identify as plumbers anymore, as electricians.
10 years from now.
10 years from now, right.
I think it's 10 years from now, the robots are going to be well off enough that you will have a personal robot that can snake your toilet, do the plunger, replace the toilet. There's still going to be high-end backhaul plumber, maybe, I don't know. Generally cheaper to destroy the infrastructure and put the new Kanban one in.
Right. But through all that, right, we're going to have an identity crisis. Yes. We're going to have a purpose crisis.
Yes.
And what you're doing right now is exactly the kind of thing that I'm trying to do with this podcast and the things I'm working on, because, the world is going to change. And the one thing that AI can never replace is our humanity. Mm-mm. Right? It can't. I mean, if it does,
start teaching people to live authentic lives where we've not done that, right? Be the same as these 30 people in this cube. And this cube needs to be as close to the 30 people in the cube next to them. And if you're not, then you're ostracized.
Right.
Our entire system has been developed to be the same as the guy next to you or woman, right? I mean, that's been our system. And it needed to be that way to get us here. But
yeah,
the system's going to change at breakneck speed. I think we need as many shepherds of that as possible, because while this is changing, authoritarianism is going to try to take over.
Oh, and this is going to give
Right.
them a
The authoritarians are going to try to take
frighteningly
over. They're going to try to overreach. We are America still. We have rights, right? There are people in the world today being imprisoned for the words that they speak. So freedom of speech has never been bigger under attack that I've seen in my lifetime. So I think we need as many people on stages saying F bombs as possible right now and making it funny and getting people to laugh about the world. Our gutters are getting thicker by the moment. And, I think most people want to live in the middle. They don't want to live on these extreme sides.
right.
Those extreme sides are getting more and more polarized. And as they get more and more polarized, that's when that humanity switch flips from humanity to reptilian or mammal, whatever the violence that we see where
Right.
we're cheering on violence, right?
Right.
Luckily for me, I navigated a world of strip clubs and bikers as a child. I know herd mentality very,
Yeah.
very well, right?
Yeah.
I know how that works. I've seen it, and I'm seeing it now on a massive scale. And it's scary.
I love the word shepherd. We need to build armies of shepherds, you know,
Yeah.
and one of the greatest joys, as I mentioned to you earlier in this podcast, is I'm meeting unbelievable people like you who see what's happening, right? And they are serving as shepherds. And we're going to keep going. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep bringing more love into the world. Um, and uh, and it's messages and experiences like yours, Ken, that are going to win the day for a lot of people. It already has, right? I mean, all those young people who come into your boxing club, and all the people that you've touched. Um, it's amazing. It's amazing.
A lot of fun.
Hmm?
I do want to say, for the people out there that are scared about AI, it is scary. I want to acknowledge the fact that take a deep breath. This is scary stuff.
Yep.
The good guys have the best tech on the planet, and they're moving as fast as they can to figure this shit out for all of us, right?
And to stay ahead of the bad guys.
My advice to everybody is play. You don't have to go in and learn this technology. Play with the technology.
There you go.
You're not learning it. Play with it. Make music, make movies, make pictures, make poems, make as much as you possibly can. The stuff that you always wanted to make, and have fun with it, so that you have a relationship with this technology as we move on to the next step. And have a little bit of grace for the bumps in the road. They're going to happen. But if humanity can pull this off right, and we don't kill each other in the process, we have a shot at something really, really cool for humanity.
Very much.
And for their grandchildren and moving forward. And, getting into the mind of abundance is a hard thing to do. But if you can see it, it's a beautiful place to live.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I'll say, you came up with another word too. Play. Folks, play with it. It's amazing. It's the first technology I have ever experienced where you can go to ChatGPT and say, "Tell me what I need to know about you," and it will, right? And I had a guest the other day who found himself late at night. All the stores were closed, and he wanted to make something to eat. And so he went to ChatGPT and he told ChatGPT, "These are the ingredients I have in my refrigerator. Give me a recipe. Give me a recipe for something to cook." He said it was amazing.
You can open your fridge and take a picture of it. You don't even have to type
it. There you go, right? Yeah, and play with it. Play with it.
We have discovered the most beautiful technology that has ever existed. We've interfaced with all of consciousness. It was what it feels like, right? It feels
just about. Mm-hmm.
So
just about. And play with it. And as you play with it, you're going to learn. And as you learn, you're going to keep playing with it, and you're going to learn more and more and more and more. And, we've been, and thank you, Ken, for bringing that up, because, I talk about, and I'm normally not like this. I'm usually a pretty positive guy, but, as it relates to the impact, yeah, it's going to have a really, really big impact on jobs and our livelihoods and and how we live. But it's going to have amazing impacts on our quality of life. So,
And all of mankind needs to move their mindset from work to play. And I think if we can change that, I'm playing with this technology, I'm having a good time with it. It's going to do all the crappy work. It's going to move numbers on spreadsheets for us. It's going to lift the heavy stuff. Let it do that stuff. You do what humans do, good and frolic. That
yeah, I love it. I love it.
That's what we need to be focused on,
You
right?
know,
And then enjoying each other's time and neighborhood. I love it that I drive down my neighborhood street today and I see kids playing in the street again. I've not seen that in 20 years.
no kidding. Yep.
Right? The
Yep.
PC
Bringing back the
sitting in the
community.
kitchen is gone now, and they're out in the street playing. Yeah, they got their phone in their back pocket, but they're not tied to it like we were in the
Yeah.
2000s and
Yeah.
10. So yeah, I have really, really high hopes for the future. I
Yes.
see a
Yes.
couple of negatives that could go wrong.
Yep.
Right. I'm not a super fan of this ego-driven military leadership system that is currently running our world. Running out of fear and that kind of thing. I'm going to assume they know what they're doing and they'll figure it all out.
Yeah. In the meantime,
it's not in their interest to blow us up.
Yeah. And in the meantime, we can affect what we can affect. Right?
You can affect a lot if you learn how to
play. Exactly.
You got something to say and you don't know how to say it today. Say it to your AI and ask it, how do I communicate this to the world? Communicate it in song, poem, digital, art, movie, however you need to do. Your voice can be heard today in a way that is so profound that it's remarkable.
And folks, it goes back to basics. I mean, there's nothing more basic than love.
Yeah.
Right? And find a way to bring just a little bit of love. I mean, if learn to smile, learn to laugh at yourself.
Look for the funny, right? If writing comedy has taught me one thing, it's that I get what I look for. And if I don't look for funny things, and I don't find funny things, and I don't laugh, and I'd rather live a life that I'm laughing more frequently than not.
If you don't look for something funny,
you won't find it.
You won't find it. Yeah, okay. That's pretty basic,
right? So start looking for funny stuff around you.
Yeah,
talk about it, right? And you'll giggle a little bit, and it'll make your day better.
And along those lines, look for opportunities.
Yes.
When you look for opportunities, you're going to find them, right? Otherwise, the opportunities aren't going to come looking for you usually, but sometimes it will, but more often you'll find it when you're looking for it.
And I would also argue that on the looking for opportunity, have your eyes open for opportunities for sure.
Always.
But do the thing that you love doing the most as loud as you possibly can. And opportunities just come to you. Be open to them. But if you do that, if you just do the thing you love doing at the loudest you possibly can, then opportunities will knock you over.
This has been amazing. Ken. I am so glad to have had the opportunity to talk with you. Close us out.
Me close us out?
Yeah. Final message.
If I have one message for the world, growing up, homeless and sick, needing surgery from birth and not getting it until I was 6 or 8 months old because there was no money to fix my hernia, and living a life thinking that life was a punishment until I was in my 30s, probably.
Wow.
That I would love people to know that the planet and their life, however you want to look at it, is a gift. And it's your gift. It's not anybody, it's not your mom and dad's gift. It's not your professor's gift. It's not your husband or wife's gift. It's your gift to do whatever the hell you want to do with it. If you want to paint it and make it beautiful, if you want to throw it away, it's your job to do that. And it's nobody else's, and nobody else is going to help you do it. And you get to choose it every single day. If you want to change who you are, believe that's who you are, start doing the things that that person does, and you will get there. And I think it's a cosmic sin to not live up to your fullest potential just because you didn't know how to call yourself what you really are.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was that yeah, okay. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna say anything else. We're gonna just end it there. Ken, if people want to learn more about you, if they want to learn more or connect with we got the show notes. How best to connect?
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me directly for anything business wise, kencox.com. If you want to know about my comedy journey, it's coxout.com, coxout.com.
Ken, thank you. This has been, we didn't laugh a whole lot, right?
Smiled
But
the whole time.
holy cow, what a wonderful conversation.
Thank
And
you.
everybody listening is taking something from this. So thank you for joining me. I love you. God bless you. You are amazing. You are amazing. Everybody out there, please share this. Please share this. And if you feel so inclined, subscribe. Okay. Until next time, I love you. God bless you. See you next time. Bye.